Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to All About Racing's Tuesday night division of F1 Power Grid's third division here at the Singapore Grand Prix. Fifth round of the season for this one. And we've got qualifying just underway. We have got a small amount of drivers compared to usual, only 13 tonight. Here's the track, 3 DRS zones, 19 corners. We've got the C5, going too fast, 5 kilometres in length, 3.147 miles. It was shortened due to a couple of turns being taken out in the final sector. 31 laps to race around this circuit. We've got the C5 soft, C4 medium and C3 hard tyre. The Drivers' Championship, Maverick is leading the way on 132 points, 119 points for Mark in second, Alligator on 115, 97 for Riley, Lee Webb on 93, then Atmos, Mystery, Ratigan and Jazz down in 10th place. The constructors are Ferrari on... I've just got it in the way there. Ferrari on 218 points, 204 points for Aston Martin, Alpine on 184, then it's Williams in 4th, 5th is Red Bull, Haas 6th, 7th McLaren, Sauber in 8th, 9th Mercedes and Racing Bulls in 10th. That will teach me, that was a horrible intro, that will teach me for not getting my notes sorted before I press go. Not done that for a long time. So qualifying underway, as you can see, 13 minutes to go, had the first few minutes in, had the first few drivers set lap times. It's RBE who set the first of the lap times here, and then we've got Winsworth now just coming over the line in second, 128.0, and then Riley after that a 128.193, and gone straight on at the final sequences of corners just under the freeway before the final corner. So who would we have up next? We've got a few drivers who have already invalidated lap times. Mark Lax coming up to the line now. 4th fastest for him. 2nd in the championship at the moment, the 88 Aston Martin on 119 points. 13 points behind the championship leader Maverick, who's on a lap, who would have been on a lap but has invalidated the lap time. So we'll just catch some drivers who are on laps at the moment. Royal Rumble, looks like he's on a lap going into the final sequence of corners. And across the line, 5th fastest at 128.5 for him there. Sorry, I will admit I was woefully unprepared today. Everything sort of came at me at once at the end before we got started. Still, 4 drivers yet to set a lap time. I think we've actually had the lowest attendance tonight of 13. We don't usually see it that low at all. But hopefully we'll still have drivers who are very close together in the race. Usually it can be just quality over quantity. Can make a massive difference. Looney Man going to try and put in a quality lap here. I don't think he is actually on a lap. He's got full battery deployment. Oh, Royal Rumble taking out the polystyrene board on the pit lane entry there. Jazz. 27-0 in the first sector, just staying inside track limits as he comes around turn 8. The American in the French outfit from Enstone in the UK. Down towards the old Singapore sling of turns 10, 11 and 12 before we get to the Anderson Bridge. And into the hairpin of 13 before we go over the Esplanade Bridge. And into sector 3 proper, sorry, as the sector 2 beacon comes up now. It's a 104 in the first 2 sectors. Watch out for track limits on the outside. And this is the bit that was obviously reprofiled a couple of years ago now, and they've added a DRS zone to it this time. I'm not sure if they've added it to the game yet though, actually. It should be 4 DRS zones. It's 3 DRS zones in game at the moment, unless I am mistaken. Haven't been here for a little while, so that may have changed. It's 129.674 for the Alpine driver of Jazz. Lee Webb going through Raffles Boulevard, turn 6, down towards Memorial Corner. The 90-degree left, where we should see the most amount of overtakes this evening, and battles ensue into Stafford as well, turn 8. As we've got a fastest lap here from our championship leader Maverick, 127.725. Only a smidge ahead of the Haas driver Lee Webb, the only man now to set a lap, overtake button deployed down into the end of sector 2, so 105 there as well for him. We saw the same from the driver beforehand, Jazz, who's in 11th place. Into this final 2 chicanes on the lap, 16 and 17 done, and now the final 2, 18 and 19, as he crosses the timing beacon. It's a Red Bull 4.5 at the moment. It's a 27.892 for Lee Webb. So 6 minutes left on the clock. As we've got drivers just going slowly over all around on the circuit. Jazz on the lap though, half a second up on their lap time. Much better first sector. As the American winds through the Anderson Bridge. Of course, very important day over the other side of the pond. See if he can make some good decisions on this lap. Certainly has done already, 3/4 of a second up on his previous attempt. We're looking at a 128.8 at the moment as things stand. Hopefully we'll be able to improve in the final sector as well, but the battery is very low on that number 8 Alpine as he comes around the final few corners, exiting turn 17 into the final turn 18 at 19, darting the car in with the front end nose biting well to the surface, and lost a lot of time in that final sector. Was only half a second up overall at the end. Winsworth takes provisional pole with a 127.485, a 27.5 for RBE in a second place. Very close between the top 4, top 5 really as it stands, 4 tenths between those 5 cars. Looney Man just started a new lap, 69 RB or Racing Bulls. I think they are changing the name to Racing Bulls next season proper. We all knew that's what they were really called, but decided to just use the terms RB. And Welshman there cutting the corner nicely. Not too much to make the track map go red, but will that have lost him time using too much curb? No, gained him a third of a second on his previous attempt in the first sector alone. Into turn 8 of Stamford. Back to the right hand side for Padnang. Into the Singapore Sling. Of course, a very different corner than yesteryear, back about a decade or so ago, even more than that now. Over the Anderson Bridge, mind out the upright of the bridge on the right hand side. It will take the right front of your wheel off, like slicing through butter. End of sector 2, 1.2 seconds up. Looney Man 13th and last as it stands. And unfortunately, still 13th and last, 29.3 for Looney Man with 3 minutes left on the clock, or just a smidge under that. Mystery invalidated the time. Speechy just finished the time, the German. 9th fastest as it stands. Has got enough fuel to go again, has got plenty enough battery to go again as well. So Windsworth on provisional pole still, that 127.4 not been beaten as of yet. We're riding on board with Speechy down in 10th in the championship on 68 points. He does have a win to his name as he backs out because he's still on a cool down lap, isn't he? He's ready to go again and just trying to save the battery as much as possible. Has Looney Man got time to coming in back out again? No, he hasn't. Has he got enough battery and fuel to go again? Yes, he has. Will the tyres last for another attempt? Otherwise, he's starting on the back row, row 7 today. As we've seen 5 cars come out all together on their outlaps. Royal Rumble. Just a small amount down on his first attempt. And it's just a bit of a clumsy lap at the moment, isn't it, as he comes out of turn 13 and down this back straight, the one of 3 DRS straights. We'll find out if they've added the DRS straight here between turns 14 and 16. Don't believe they have, but of course when we were here a few months ago for the 2024 Singapore Grand Prix, they had added the 4th DRS zone down the straight towards turn 16 through this right-left section and sliding through the corner, not too far away from Japan. There was a slight Tokyo drift there from the Haas driver, and then misses the pits completely and back onto the racetrack, and now reversing quite dangerously. Isn't ghosted at all, so could get in driver's way. I wonder if that will be picked up by the stewards later on after the race. 3 drivers still on their outlaps, 30 seconds to go. Remember, if you cross the line before the checker flag falls, you can finish your last flying lap, as Lee Webb is doing now with 20 seconds left on the clock. Going in towards turn 1 is Red Bull teammate on provisional pole. Windsworth is also started his final attempt as Looney Man crosses the line, goes 9th fastest now, almost a second up on his previous attempt. That will be his final attempt as the checker flag is now out. And Speechy, the man from Germany in the Oxford outfit, stays 10th fastest. Who will be up next? There's a bit of a wait, and then we've got a bit of a queue of cars after that. It's Mark Lax down towards those final few corners. These last two, oh so important. Mind out for track limits on the outside, but you want to use all of the curb as well. Third fastest, it's going to be a best second row start. The championship leader does a 1:27.3 as the two McLarens come behind in tandem. Out of the final corner, their 5th and 8th. Is Winsworth going to be able to improve? He is improving at the moment. Now he's down by a second. He's not going to be on pole. RBE is also going slowly. Lee Webb coming into the last sequences of corners. He's a 10.5 down on his previous attempt. We've just had another driver go through as well. That was Riley. It's a 27.8 for him. 6th fastest. Lee Webb stays 7th. Looney Man is on a lap, but is going slowly and has backed out of it. Winsworth is round into the pits, and that means our championship leader is on pole position for the Singapore Grand Prix. We'll be back for the standings in just a moment. So as we get ready for the start, we've only got one Aston Martin this evening. That's Mark starting in 4th place on the grid. Only one of the Red Bulls, sorry, both Red Bulls, got Lee Webb and Winsworth. Winsworth starting on the front row. Lee Webb starting down in 7th. The Ferrari and Maverick, of course, starting on pole position. Our championship leader looking to get a good start down into turn 1. Not a long run, though, down towards turn 1. Both Haas cars in it as well. RBE starting in 3rd place on that second row. And Royal Rumble starting 13th and last. You're watching the 5th round of the season on F1 Power Grids Division 3 on All About Racing. If you're enjoying the content, please subscribe to the channel. We've got some different kind of content coming up soon as well, with some of the guys know in the Discord servers. But if you're enjoying the league racing, of course, we still have the 3 days. It's just been a bit of a hiccup with some leagues recently with numbers, so that's why we haven't been consistently on 3 days, but it should be 3 days this week as normal. The formation lap has started, and we'll go and have a look at what tyres are on what cars this evening. 3 drivers on the hard tyres, 10 drivers on the mediums. Not a sign of the soft tyres in the race for the start. 31 laps to race around here. I think we're going to try and do a one-stop medium to hard strategy. The pit lane time around here is a very long time. It's 27 seconds under green flag racing. So the one stop would be preferable for a lot of the drivers, I would imagine. And with a smaller grid this evening as well, it's easier for the race leaders to bunch up. Obviously it does carry on. It sort of stays, doesn't it, in situ, the tyre temperatures, but you do have to wait with your own thoughts if you do decide to go quite quickly on the formation lap, which Maverick is not doing. Royal Rumble lagging behind somewhat. He may have had a bit of a trip up over himself. Apologies guys, bear with me a second. Again, we're getting all the mistakes out of the way today, aren't we? Hopefully we'll get the screen back in just a second. There we go. Got the controller on charge now. It should not die again, hopefully. So, as the drivers get ready on the grid, and we get ready for the start, we've got all cars lined up. We've got a decent view for this evening as well. We've got 3, 4 and 5 red lights. Maverick on pole, Winsworth alongside him, and Foot flat to the floor here in Singapore. Winsworth gets a very good launch and goes up into the lead before we go into the braking zone, but he goes wide and off the track and has to give the position back to Maverick, who takes back that lead spot, and RBE is going to be on the charge here as Winsworth is going to have a bad exit out of that first sequence of corners around turn 5 and down Raffles Boulevard we go for the first time. Here comes RBE with a very good launch out of turn 5, switches from the inside to the outside, trying to outbrake the RB driver, the Red Bull driver, sorry, as we go down into the slow section at the end of sector 1. Winsworth has been able to hold on by the skin of his teeth in the first third of this lap as we now go down Anderson Boulevard towards the Singapore Sling and then the Anderson Bridge. Maverick still leading by around 7/10 of a second as we come out of the Singapore Sling and over the Anderson Bridge around turn 13. It's Maverick, Winsworth, RBE, Mark, Rattigan, Riley. Mystery's been gone up one place. Lee Webb down a place. The Grim Sleeper in 9th. Looneyman 10th, who's just overtaken Grimsworth, now down in 10th. Then Jazz, who's looking for a move as well. No, the German going past the American here on the outside at turn 14 and down the next straight, the new straight of in 2023 and 4, and Speechy up into 11th place. DRS is disabled? Enabled. Tripping over myself all day today, haven't I? DRS enabled on the second lap. Maverick not going to be able to get it, of course, and is not outside of DRS range. DRS open for Winsworth, giving him around 25 kilometres an hour of extra speed down the straights, as it's such a high downforce circuit here, so you do get better advantage with the DRS wing open. Top 4 already starting to pull away on the second lap. So Mark and the 3 ahead of him have gained around 1.5 seconds on the guys around them. They go around the final corner here. There is a bit of dirty air notice there on board with Mark Lax. Or it could be a bit of desyncing, a bit of internet lagging potentially. Into turn 5, down the straight, where the best overtaking spot is at the end of this straight on the entire lap here at the Marina Bay circuit. Here comes Winsworth closing in around 3/10, 2.5 tenths, but too far back to even think about an overtake. Riley, though, he'll think about an overtake as he's close enough. And I think Lee Webb, halfway down the straight, actually got past Mystery there. So this is probably his second best overtaking spot on the lap as well. It's quite a heavy braking zone into 14 at the end of the Esplanade Bridge as Riley gets close to Retigan again, biting at the heels of the McLaren. As we've got a yellow flag flying. I'm not too sure who that was for. It might have been for Jazz. I think it was, as they come into the pits. 60 kilometres an hour in this pit lane. About 38 miles an hour. 36 miles an hour. It's a very, very slow pit lane indeed. So the top four most certainly have broke away at this point, haven't they? 2.1 seconds ahead of Retigan, who has got Riley right behind him for company. Unwanted company, of course. Over the Anderson Bridge they go. Top four, concertinaing up at 13 over the Esplanade Bridge. Is Mark going to go for a move into turn 14? He's not. Looney Man and Mystery here going side by side into turn 1 as Mystery tries to go the long way round. I think he did go off the track there. He might be asked to give the position back by race control. And if he wouldn't have been asked to, he would have got a warning. But you never know. This is an EA game. May have given Looney Man the warning. Is he going to fight back into the next corner? He certainly thought about it. As Mystery goes deep into the corner. It was a nice little dummy there. His Speechy tries to overtake his teammate as well. Is Mystery going to lose 2 places with that little mistake? No, just the one. But he's slowing up his teammate here, as he has to lift off well before the start of the braking zone. Speechy was umming and ahhing about whether to go for the overtake or not. Looney Man's got himself a nice bit of breathing space now at this point as well. Riley, again, still in that DRS window of Retigan. Isn't able to get close enough though. Mark looking like he's on for an overtake here as the two Williams switch places. Mark looks to the left-hand side, which subsequently is the inside line at turn 1. This being an anti-clockwise circuit, one of around 8 circuits on the 24 calendar. Or is RBE going to go for a move? These four very close together, and Maverick been able to hold on very well. RBE up the inside here. He's going to have to get the braking done perfectly, which he has done. And what's going on here? Winsworth trying to come back at him again. That was a lunge and a half. That was from Malaysia. It was so far back as we go through turn 9 and on our way back towards the Singapore Sling again in front of the Anderson Cathedral. Now over the Anderson Bridge. And we're going to go for a bit of a lunge into turn 13. Mark definitely had a thought about it, didn't he? Was looking to see if the gap was there to go through. Top four in a bit of a stalemate at the moment, and it's bringing Riley and Ratigan into the fold, as Riley has now eventually got past Ratigan but hasn't been able to get out to DRS range, as Winsworth goes one off the racing line for some reason as we go into turn 16. There's a lot of drivers trying to do the dummy overtake, isn't there? And it's worked again somewhat for Mark. Winsworth did go off the track, but is held on to the position. I'm not sure if they would have got a track warning for that one or not. So you're going to go for it on the outside. The door will probably slam shut, which it has done. Winsworth and Mark now starting to fall behind and into the clutches of Riley and Ratigan, who are now back within DRS range with some of the guys in the top four. It really has brought them back into play again, hasn't it? 5th and 6th place. Big queue now. Lee Webb not too far away either. Such a technical circuit, this one. It's impressive how many drivers are so close together at this point, as Winsworth falls out of that DRS range again, and I don't think he's going to be able to get back in time as we go across the detection point, and will be vulnerable to Mark, will not be able to use DRS to defend. Mark just breezes past there, as the lead has changed hands for the first time today. RBE taking the lead spot. Haas driver quite late to the fold here this season, 11th in the championship in round 5. As his Haas teammate getting past the Grim Sleeper, it looked like he was going slowly there, and is off the racing line, going down Raffles Boulevard straight. Ratigan getting past Winsworth here, and a couple of drivers have made contact, and Riley up into 2nd place. It's all kicked off at the end of lap 9, at the end of sector 3, as Mark, I keep saying that, Mark Maverick comes into the pits, and he's going to fall down to 12th place. Yellow flag flying in the first sector. And for some reason it's yellow flag showing and down Raffles Boulevard as well. RBE in the lead. There was a 6-car train as Winsworth retired from the session. Virtual safety car deployed. Will that be upgraded to a safety car? Maybe. Maverick comes out. Winsworth leaves the session, and he's dropped it on the exit of turn 5. You can see his car there on the left hand side as Maverick has to go slowly past the collision. It hasn't been upgraded to a safety car. I think it will stay where it is. Is it a little early for the drivers on the medium tyres to pit now? Because I don't think Maverick pit specifically for new tyres. I think he pit for a front wing change. Trying to see if we could tell if it was or not. I think it probably was a front wing change, just how long he was in the box for. Will this VSC stay out long enough for drivers to pit? A couple of them taking the risk. Mark going for that opportunity as the safety car, VSC ends right at the worst moment for Mark. So as he pit early for pretty much no reason. No, there is a reason. He's got a front wing that needs replacing for the number 5 Aston Martin. Mystery retires, and that could bring out something else, could it not? Or is they retired in the pit lane? I think they have. We're down to 11 drivers of the 13 that started. Sorry about that, guys. I had a little bit of an issue with my microphone. Let me know if anyone can't hear me. I think you should be able to now. Just wasn't working for a second. RBE, 2.2 seconds in the lead of the race. Pit stop window coming up shortly as Riley gets a 3-second time penalty. That will be on the exit of the final corner. So Jazz on the soft tyre, that was an interesting call for them. Retigan still close with Riley. They've been close for quite a while. Retigan should be the faster of the two at some point soon, seeing as he's on the hards and they'll be in better condition now than those mediums and starting to overtake in terms of having what level of grip that tyre has got left. And you've got Looneyman and Speechy very close together as well. They're just around the DRS window, 7/10 between those two. But it's gone quite stale. Obviously there was that accident earlier on that sent a couple of people into the pit, Maverick and Mark, who were down in 8th and 9th, just trying to catch up to the guys ahead of them. They know they'll have the pace to catch up. Will they be able to do this one stop to the end, or are they going to have to pit with 6, 7, 8 laps to go, maybe even a few more laps than that. Potentially they might do. So, Speechy into the pits, coming off those medium tyres at the start of lap 13. Going on to the hards, that was predictable. Going to have 17, 18 laps to do on those. He gets passed by Maverick, and Mark will pass as well. Where's Lee Webb? I don't think Lee Webb's going to cause him any problems. Too far back for that, and as I said earlier on, I know he's just come out of the pits. But you're looking at around, as I said, 27 seconds or thereabouts for a pit stop around this place. Only 23 seconds, oh, I say only 23 seconds with a safety car. That's longer than most tracks on the calendar. And also, guys, you're watching the 5th round of the season on All About Racing. It's F1 Power Grids Division 3. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos. Close to 450 subscribers now, which is fantastic. And as I said, there is some new content coming, and there's some rain coming down on the circuit as well. Before we talk about the weather, yeah, we've got some new content coming, Formula 1 related content. I'm going to give my hand a stab at doing some F1 content, so uploading some videos about F1. We're going to do an F1 beginners guide. The reason why we're doing an F1 beginners guide is because it's my beginning of doing any kind of F1 video, so I thought it'd be quite fitting to just start with an F1 beginners guide. But I've got a couple of other ideas, give you a couple of little exclusives. We're going to do sort of a brief history of Formula 1 through the decades, 2 or 3 different facts from each decade, just a quick sort of 8-10 minute video on that one. And then I'm going to do another video about Kyle Lamy coming back to the calendar in 2027 potentially, and that would mean, bar Antarctica, that Formula 1 would be racing in every single continent around the world. So that would be my 3rd video, starting off on the sort of the videos I would like to do. We're just going to get a bit of a base, so if I could get some support, and if you want to check those videos out when they come, make sure that you hit the notification bell, and then you'll get all that information about those videos that go live. One of them is too far from being done. I'm not sure whether I'll post it straight away or do another couple before I start posting them. But yeah, imminently, next couple of weeks or so, we'll have a couple of videos up on the channel. Hopefully I can get some of you guys support, because obviously a lot of you have been around since the beginning as well, so it's really nice to see. So hopefully you can help me on this journey. It would be much appreciated. So, rain over the circuit at the moment, that changes everything. Maybe for the drivers on the hards, this is what they would have wanted, because they were going to go a bit longer. But it is only lap 14. The mediums would have gone to the end, and the Grim Sleeper has lost the car. Whoa! And then the Aston Martin of Mark is actually gone right over the back of the rear wing and lost his front wing. He's going to have to pit anyway. Is it? Oh, he can't get the car stopped. And just missed the wall there. These guys are going to have to come in, I think, for a fresh set of tyres, and a set of intermediate tyres at that. As the man stays on slick tyres, so does RBE. So, just before the halfway point, halfway through this lap will be the halfway point, and drivers deciding to go onto a new set of slicks, bar the Grim Sleeper, who has gone on to intermediates. Mark ahead of him, though, has gone on to the hards. Is it slightly early for intermediates? It looks very greasy out there, but just because it's greasy doesn't mean that intermediates are necessarily the better tyre. So, who's going to have made the right call? The other one is, if you're going to go for slicks, I think you might say like this, is a double soft strategy going to work out better potentially? That could be a factor. but also maybe not. So Retigan comes in off the 14 lap old hard tyres. They look like intermediates to me. So a bit of a change up, 10-second penalty for Royal Rumble as Riley comes in for a fresh set of boots as well, and Royal Rumble of course just getting that 5-second time penalty. Intermediates for Royal Rumble, intermediates for Retigan. I do feel like it's a crossover point, but which would you feel more safe on? But crucially, what are you going to be quicker on? We'll find that out in a minute. As Retigan came out in second, is he going to be able to hunt down Maverick? He's on 7-lap old hard tyres. We'll still have plenty of grip, but not so much in these conditions. Yellow flag, that's for Jazz. DRS disabled now. That's usually another big indication that the intermediate tyre is the tyre to go for. Retigan is catching up quickly here. There's no spray on the circuit. No spray at all, but maybe the intermediates helping with these more light greasy conditions as it stands. And of all the others around, made a massive mistake on the strategy, like Looneyman going onto a fresh set of hard tyres. Riley as well, RBE, who was right up there for the majority of the race so far. As we get just over the half point, we get a bit of respite underneath the motorway there, as RBE stays out and hopes that the weather will get better and improve later on. Braking zone in turn 1 probably feels not too bad because, as I said, it's sort of covered by highways above your head. Looneyman into the pits. He's just decided to come in now and not try and hold out on the strategy call. Realised he's made a mistake. Goes on to intermediate tyres and is going to come out behind the Grin Sleeper in 9th place, quite a way ahead of Mark Lax down in 10th. 4 drivers as well with time penalties. Speechy goes through on Maverick as well. His hard tyres looking better. And who's that? That's Jazz going through. So he's actually unlapping himself at this point. So this is showing that the intermediates are much, much quicker than anything else. And Retigan 7.5 seconds ahead now. I think the longer these guys stay out, the more it's going to hurt them come the end of the race. RBE up into 4th now as well as Maverick comes in, and Riley's staying out again. I really don't understand. They must be being told by the race engineer that it's going to stop shortly. I can't think of any other reason why they would choose to stay out in these conditions. But on the other hand, even if it is going to stop shortly, is it going to dry up quickly? Because the guys on the intermediates are going so much faster than the others on the slicks. Now only 3 drivers on the slicks now at this point, 3rd, 4th and 5th, but I'm sure it won't be long. I mean, the Grim Sleeper might be able to catch up with Riley before the end of the lap. That the time difference is so substantial now at this point. And he almost has 3 seconds. Look how slow Riley's going. Can't even get full throttle down. We don't usually put the telemetry up, but we'll have a look at his throttle input. Look, it's just touching the throttle. And I mean, look at this. Grim Sleeper's just going to easily go past. He's going to get past RBE before the end of the lap as well. And the amount of time they happened to get the car slowed down made a really, really bad call here. So Speechy, look how slow they're going. Sliding all over the shot, almost into the wall there for Speechy as well, as he now concedes defeat and comes into the pits for a new set of intermediate tyres as the Grim Sleeper goes through and up into 3rd place. And Speechy's been disqualified, and I have no idea why. He was stopped on the pit lane entry. I have a horrible feeling that was a glitch rather than anything else. RBE into the pits as Mark overtakes him. And it's going to be close between him and Lee Webb, I could imagine. Very close indeed. Here comes Lee Webb into turn 1. It's going to be side by side between these two. And he just clips the back of RBE there. He was entitled to a little bit of space on the inside, but was not given it. Will he fight back into turn 7? No, he won't. And still only Riley on the hard tyres. Not sure what he's eating for dinner, but I don't think he's thinking clearly at the moment. Speechy leaving the session after being disqualified. Commiserations for him, because that was just super unlucky on his part. Here comes Mark Lax. It's going to be so easy for him to get past Riley. That's right, he's just struggling on exit to get any sort of power down. If he doesn't pit this lap, he does not, for whatever reason, he's not pit again. This is astounding, to be honest, why he's still on the hard tyre. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense at all. RB getting a time penalty there. So Speechy says, tap the wall on the entry to the pits, lost some wing, then got disqualified for blocking the pit lane. Okay, yeah. Well, on my screen it looked like you were stopped, so I don't know if you stopped or if the game just stopped you. But yeah, it looked very strange. But what can you do? Sorry, it's happened. It's awful, especially when it's just completely out of your hands. I mean, Riley won't be in last place in a minute. Sorry, he may potentially be in last place in a minute. I know he's got a 55-second lead over Jazz, but he's going to be gaining 4, 5, 6 seconds a lap. It's not going to be too long before he's caught up. I'm sure Riley will pit soon, but I've said that every other lap and I've been wrong every time. Retigan in the lead at the moment because of an absolutely brilliant strategy call, and has got the pace out in front as well. Still 10 seconds in the lead over Royal Rumble. There's a 26-second gap behind him. The field is hugely spread out now after these conditions have come about. I'm assuming it will dry up eventually because Riley stayed out, and that would be the only reason why he's staying out on the racetrack and not coming in for a set of intermediate tyres. One battle on track here. It's RBE right behind Lee Webb. Of course, no DRS now at this point, so just trying to use the slipstream. Whoa, RBE really thought about it there, didn't he? Trying to go at the inside at Stafford, which isn't really a corner. You would see someone try and do that. That was my phone that fell over. Apologies. RBE just dropped back a bit now. 1.5 seconds behind. So RBE still stuck where he is at the moment, 1.5 seconds behind Lee Webb, and everyone else just so spread out at this point. This is the kind of race where we're in sort of a real need now for a safety car, isn't it? It's a top 3 that you would not have expected though, only 10 laps ago. As the rain has now stopped, Riley took that risk to stay out and is starting to go quickly. Isn't going to have to pit again, but is so far behind everyone else and took that big risk. We're all going to go back onto slick tyres, but at what point do we go back onto the slicks? Because the track's starting to look dry already at this point. The Grin Sleeper could come into the pits now. Is it the right time yet? He thinks so. Grin Sleeper into the pits, so is Looney Man. Are they going to make any amount of time up on the top 3? Because the top 3 still got a lot of the lap to go, around half the lap. Grin Sleeper on soft tyres. Looney Man will do the same for sure, with such little laps to go. A bit of a glitch there. Maverick on the mediums. Mark on 5 lap old medium tyres. I have a feeling he didn't mean to do that. Lee Webb as well. Oh, it's close between those two. RBE comes in as well. Riley will stay out, but he's not going to gain any places. I just don't believe he's going to gain any places at all. Maybe one on RBE. Maybe. Yes, you're getting the one on RBE there. DRS enabled now. So the top 2 on the intermediates. Retigan stays out again for another lap. And so does Royal Rumble. Oh, are they making a mistake here to stay out on another tour of the circuit? Doing another 3 and a bit miles of this Marina Bay circuit. Not sure if that was the right call. So lap 24 of 31. The top two still on the intermediates. We had about 6 to 10 laps of rain, something like that, where only one driver, Riley, decided to hold it out, and the gamble really didn't pay off. He's down in 8th. He should have pit when everyone else did, pretty much. Still 4.5 seconds, sorry, almost 5 seconds behind Lee Webb in 7th place. Retigan still leading by 10 seconds to Royal Rumble, who was the other driver still yet to pit for slick tyres. It'll be soft tyres now at this point. But the Grin Sleeper or Looney Man are not really catching up all that much, which is surprising. We'll see how they fare in this middle sector, which is quite complex. A lot of braking zones and slow to medium speed corners. Royal Rumble comes in now as Retigan stays out again. And for whatever reason is feeling comfortable on the intermediate. Obviously the gap will come down after Royal Rumble comes out of the pits. But I'm just surprised that these two did not gain more time. I mean, Royal Rumble's got a great opportunity here to get some form of an undercut. Yes, it is a big undercut margin. It's 10 seconds. But with the track looking nigh on bone dry, how much time will Royal Rumble be able to gain? As Grin Sleeper comes around the final corner now. But as I say that, I feel like Royal Rumble might have had a front wing change. He was in the pits for quite a long time. But we'll see if he'll be able to gain any time back on this lap. As Retigan's just come out of turn 14. And he's only got 2 more corners, 3 including the pit lane entry, to go on this intermediate tyre. As Looney Man gets close to the Grin Sleeper here into turn 7, but not close enough. It's a double podium for McLaren as it stands, if it were to end on lap 25, as Retigan now comes in for a set of soft tyres, I would presume, as Royal Rumble has done that as well. Soft tyres for Retigan. With 6 laps to go, including the one that he's on. Royal Rumble quite a long way behind. Maverick catching up as well after losing the race lead. Will he retain his lead in the championship? Mark is behind him, so he's going to outscore Mark. Riley down in 8th, who was leading the championship earlier on in the season. We're looking at Retigan, Royal Rumble, the Grin Sleeper. Retigan down in 8th in the championship. Admittedly, it will bring him up the board, but I don't think there'll be any change to the lead positions as we go into next week. So only 5 laps to go. Retigan leading. Royal Rumble in second. Has got time penalties. Or penalty, should I say. He's got a 3-second time penalty. Sorry. So he's safe where he is as of right now, even with the penalties applied at the end of the session. It looks like it's going to be Blue Man versus the Green Sleeper for the final podium place, with Maverick gaining in. So it more than likely could actually be a 3-way fight for the podium place, as Maverick is right there, and does he have the pace to get 3 seconds down the road? That's the question. So Maverick now going past the Grim Sleeper. He's also got Looney Man to deal with, and has to deal with getting 3 seconds down the road in the next 3 laps. Looney Man not letting Maverick past. He probably knows that he has got the pace to get down the road. Maybe not in the amount of laps that are left. It is only 2.5 laps that is left, remember. And we've had Jazz, who's now left the session. Retigan on the penultimate lap. About to lap RBE. Royal Rumble now just starting his final lap, penultimate lap as well. Doesn't look like Maverick will be able to get onto the podium. Will he be able to secure a 4th place? It's touch and go with the Grin Sleeper at the moment. I say that, the Grin Sleeper is now spun, and Mark is taking that 5th place. as Lee Webb goes past the Grin Sleeper as well. He's now down in 7th place. That was a really poor end of lap 29. Maverick now into 3rd place, but he's got 1.5 laps to get 2 seconds down the road. Still around that second mark between the two of them as we go on to the final lap. Retigan's not going to take too long now to get to the checkered flag. He's so far in the distance. Called the strategy call perfectly in that midpoint of the race. As he comes around the final corner, Retigan wins the Singapore Grand Prix. RBE has just taken the fastest lap as he goes on to his final lap. What a performance from the McLaren driver. His Royal Rumble coming around the final 2 corners now himself to take his first podium of the season in Division 3. As we now wait for Maverick or Looneyman to take the final podium place. You can see Maverick pushing, trying to get 3 seconds in the lead, but it's no use. Maverick crosses the line 3rd, but Looneyman takes the 3rd place spot after penalties applied. That is your podium for the Singapore Grand Prix. A McLaren Haas and an RB. Maverick finishing in 4th, Mark 5th, 6th was Lee Webb, Riley finishing in 7th. The Grin Sleeper dropped all the way down to 8th place, and we wait for RBE to finish his Singapore Grand Prix. Royal Rumble is the driver of the day. I think I'm going to give it to Retigan at the end. I will let them know. I'm sorry I haven't been doing it very much. I'm just so used to just saying it on stream. And we'll go to the podium to finish off. Retigan finishing in 1st. 2nd is Royal Rumble. 3rd is Looneyman. Maverick finishing in 4th after starting on pole. Mark is 5th, 6th is Lee Webb, the Grim Sleeper is 7th, Riley 8th, 9th is RBE, 10th is Jazz, 11th Speechy, Mystery in 12th, and Winsworth finished 13th after being disqualified. Actually, was it? Yes, it was Winsworth who was disqualified from the Speechy disqualified from the race, even though it classes as did not finish for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back next week. We'll be back on Thursday for F1 Racing League, but we will be back for F1 Power Grid next week. Have a quick look at the calendar at USA COTA, the Circuit of the Americas in Texas, for the next round of the season. And make sure to join us at around 8 o'clock UK time Tuesday next week. Until then, keep subscribing to the channel, liking the videos. Thank you for all the support, and just remember there's some new content coming out in the near future. Until next time, thanks very much, and we'll see you then.